depression, abuse, feeling like you're an outcast with no one to turn to, suicidal ideation, small little aliens that look like the mood toy that white girls put on their car dashboard. These are things that most of us have either experienced or know somebody who has. Well, most of those things. These feelings and experiences are common occurrences for most humans, but that doesn't make them any easier to deal with. Practically anyone can go through these things, regardless of their age or any other defining characteristics. Well, except maybe for that alien thing. That seems to be only the US military. The rest of us, we don't really get to see that. Conveying these harsh emotions is hard, and doing it tastefully in an anime can be even more difficult. Takopi's Original Sin is a 6-episode show that brilliantly showcases these things, while also pushing the envelope on what you're comfortable watching. I knew going into watching Takopi that it was depressing, but nothing could have prepared me for the pain that this masterpiece would bring to me. When most people talk about a show that moved them, it's usually something inspiring or uplifting. But for the sick like me, I need to cry. I need to feel depressed. I want to feel like the author is peeking through my monitor and calling me a slur. I need to hurt to feel something nowadays. Most of my favorite anime are examples of this. A lot of people avoid these emotions as much as they can in their free time, but experiencing them is a core part of the human experience. And while it might make you uncomfortable, that's sort of the point. Experiencing trauma and pain, especially through the lens of others, can give you a new perspective and allow you to approach and understand things from a different point of view. The only other piece of media that moved me this much was Oyasumi Punpun, and it was for very similar reasons. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I can't show or talk about fully, or Daddy YouTube might spank me with a no monetization paddle, but uncomfortable conversations are made to toe the line, so we're going to do just that. Before we go any further, I want to give a slight trigger and content warning for the rest of the video. I'm not going to go very in-depth or talk about any extremely heavy parts of the story, partly because I don't want to cause a trigger for anybody, and also partly because I think the story needs to be watched to be experienced. A random YouTuber like myself won't do it justice. Takopi starts off every episode with a trigger warning, and the first episode has 2 separate warnings. And this is for good reason. If you think this might be upsetting for you, please do what's best for yourself. Normally this is where I would summarize the first few episodes to set the stage and try to hook you into watching the show, but the show is short, and as I said, I think you should really experience it for yourself. I will give you a brief introduction to the story, but I won't spoil anything major beyond a general synopsis. If you want to skip this, there should be timestamps in the description. Takopi's Original Sin tells the story of an alien who crash lands on Earth, kinda like E.T. Hailing from the Happy Planet, this little octopus comes to spread joy and happiness to the people of Earth. Here, our little octopus friend meets Shizuka, a 9-year-old girl who is really going through it. I mean, seriously, that is an understatement. With only her dog, Chappie, by her side, she adopts the alien and names them Takopi. Tako meaning octopus, and P for the annoying sound they end every few words with. Here our journey starts. Takopi has decided that it's their job to make Shizuka smile bigger than Shiver has before. And to do this, they use their Doraemon-like happy gadgets, but nothing really seems to work. After tagging along with her to school, Takopi starts to realize how bad things really are. Shizuka is the target of an incredibly heavy bullying campaign from her classmate, Marina. You see, Shizuka's mom is an escort, and Marina's dad is cheating on her mother with an escort. For some reason, this was information that Marina's mom bestowed upon a 9-year-old. Surely nothing bad could happen from that. Shizuka's home life isn't better at all.
Shizuka. Nande kyuni?
Her dad abandoned the family, and with the mom out escorting, Shizuka is practically always left alone to fend for herself. With only her dog, and Takopi, her life is fairly grim. She goes through the motions daily of attending school, hardly eating, and taking care of Chappie, but this isn't a good life by any metrics. Takopi, in an effort to help, uses one of the happy gadgets to take the form of Shizuka briefly, and tries to make up with Marina. And it's only then that Takopi realizes how awful human beings can really be to one another. On the Happy Planet, everyone makes up and treats each other with kindness, but on Earth, things aren't that fixable. And when pushed to the brink, humanity can really be truly evil. There really isn't much more that I can tell you about the story without spoiling it. Just prepare your Kleenex and get ready to cry. If this sounds even the slightest bit interesting to you, or it sounds like it's going to hurt your feelings, I do recommend checking it out because I promise the emotional roller coaster is completely worth it. Getting people to watch a show like Takopi can be a hard sell. I mean, when I watched it in my Discord, link in the description, by the way, Someone left in the middle of the episode because it was too depressing for them, and 2 other people got mad at me for making them watch torture porn. I get it. A show like this is incredibly devastating and requires a certain mindset to watch. But I personally believe as human beings, it's important that we feel a wide array of emotions, and not just the TikTok, dopamine, happy brain chemicals 24/7. The show tackles incredibly complicated topics in a way that many struggle to do. In a short 6-episode run, they're able to offer a unique perspective on things like intense depression, guilt, trauma, suicide, loss, and grief. With Takopi playing out from the perspective of children and an incredibly innocent and kind of blind to reality alien, they're able to look at these difficult subject matters in a way that we often don't have the liberty to view it from. In general, in movies and TV shows, children are considered mostly off-limits. There are certainly exceptions to this, and the boundaries have been pushed more and more recently, especially with anime. But it's much less common to see the extreme effects that these things can have on kids depicted in media. When something bad does happen, it's often off-screen. Whereas in Takopi, we pretty much only have kids in the story. You can practically count on one hand the amount of dialogue that comes from adults, and the words that they do say are often pretty harsh. Anybody who grew up in a not-so-perfect home environment can recognize how generational trauma can truly affect children. In fact, this might hit a little too close to home for some of you. Even if the adults aren't the focal point of the show, you're given insight into the awful things that they've gone through as well. Often it's through context clues or pieces of exposition that you're given through conversation. But take Shizuka's mom, for instance. Shizuka's dad left after Shizuka was born, and the mom is currently working as some form of an escort. She makes the awful decision to meet up with Marina's father, causing a nearly impassable rift for Shizuka to deal with at school. The mother is coping with the loss of her partner and becoming a single mom, and is working to keep things afloat in a manner that most people would really prefer to avoid. It's not clear if she started working as an escort before or after Shizuka's birth, but regardless, she is going through incredibly difficult things herself, and this leads to the burden, trauma, and other problems to fall onto her child. This doesn't mean that she gets to be absolved from the guilt of her choices, but the choices are a product of her environment and her life experiences. Everyone in the show has gone through awful things, and the trauma carries on from one generation to the next and breeds this cycle of pain and suffering. The cycle is incredibly difficult to break, and no matter what right choices you might make, you often can't outrun the consequences. Normally in darker shows, the children act as a beacon of hope and innocence that are there to be protected at all costs. While the kids are just as fucked up as the adults in this case, we're lucky to have Takopi as our pillar of light. By having next to no knowledge of the human world or their intense emotions and struggle, Takopi views everything as a positive experience or something that is fixable. It isn't until they're met with intense suffering and death that they begin to realize just what humanity is really capable of and how emotions can entirely ruin somebody. Often we see their ignorance lead them to cause more problems than they're actually fixing. Throughout the story, we see Takopi struggle with a lot of what humanity has to offer, and despite this, they do their best to keep pushing forward to bring a smile to Shizuka's face. If it wasn't for Takopi, this show would be a form of torture porn, but they do their job and they allow us to experience the story through their eyes, no matter how ignorant they are. Something that Takopi really gets right is the pacing. Despite being a relatively short show, they found quite a bit of time to let you sit and fester in the uncomfortableness that some of the events in the story bring to you. It doesn't rush through them to get on to the next thing that'll emotionally scar you. No, they sit there in the quiet and make you think about what you've just seen. These scenes are uncomfortable to sit through, but that's the entire point. Nothing about what's happening to these characters and what they're living through is comfortable, so why would you get to be? Takopi's original sin doesn't cut corners so that you can feel more relaxed. It wants you to see and feel the raw and unfiltered terrors that are going on. Trauma is a very real and persistent thing, and you can't just turn it off whenever you're bothered by it. Stepping away from the story, the use of music and sound effects in general in Takopi is absolutely brilliant. The OST is incredible at amplifying the really tense scenes, and when things are meant to be more relaxed and even a bit optimistic at times, the music echoes that. On top of this, the voice acting is absolutely next level. Every character in the show absolutely crushes it, but in my opinion, Takopi and Marina were playing an entirely different game. Pretty much everyone is given a scene or two where they really stood out and the voice actors crushed their performance, but Marina and Takopi had quite a few scenes that left a mark on me in a way that I didn't expect. And suffice to say, the voice acting played a huge role in it. It really feels like everyone came together to give it their all for this adaptation, and the results speak for themselves. It's currently one of the only shows ever where every episode has a 9 or higher rating out of 10. It is cheating a little bit by only having 6 episodes, but I promise that it earned these rave reviews. Also, I just want to say that I did call it by putting Takopi on my list of anime that you need to watch in 2025. Just ignore the fact that I also suggest at the beginning after the end. I've always been a sucker for sad shows. Everyone has gone through their own experiences and traumas, and some of mine have led me to connect incredibly deeply to the story being told here. Takopi was the show that I needed, but I never realized just how badly I did. Sometimes an anime comes at just the right time to change you or your life, and having all of my emotions played with in the way that Takopi's original sin did was cathartic in a way. There isn't much else to say other than Takopi was truly one of the best anime that I have ever seen, and for anyone that can bring themselves to watch this type of show, I strongly believe that you should. While it may break your heart, at least Takopi will always be there to help you put it back together.